Clifford, it's so good to be on tape in person with you on this subject. I know before we couldn't show my face, we couldn't hear my voice because I was under contractual agreement. I'm no longer under that contractual agreement. So I can be here in person, and that feels good. And I thank you so much for translating my prior discussion with you on the media and all of that. But today what I'd really like to talk about is the medicine end, which is my passion, and my whole reason for being involved in this is to try to help people stay as well as they can stay given the givens. I also want to say something that's very important to my heart, is that I am deeply patriotic. That's all I really want to say. Never thought I'd live to be seeing these times. As you know, recently information was brought to us that's critical in terms of health. So I want to deal with that first, and then we can go back and talk about the other contents of this aerosol spray and the impact to the body, and perhaps some mitigating medicines. We have found out through a very credentialed research doctor that perhaps what we're seeing occasionally show up in our air supply is a fungus. The reason this is so critical is apparently this fungus dramatically compromises the immune system by consuming those nutrients the immune system uses to repair and rebuild. And like every system in our body, the immune system has to keep rebuilding itself. It will wear out, it will wear down, and it has to keep regenerating. If it doesn't have those nutritional tools to do that, your immune system becomes dramatically compromised, unable to deal with any kind of invader. That's why I think we're seeing so many more colds and flus than we've seen in the last 5.5, 6 years, than we've seen in a long time. I know in my clients, these things are like epidemic. Sinus infections, colds and flus. That's on the lighter side. On the heavier side, we're seeing a lot more cancers and some very devastating disease, implying an extremely compromised immune system. Part of that has to be this fungal kind of invasion, because, as I said, this fungus eats the nutrients that the immune system uses to rebuild itself. People say, well, what do you do about a fungus? Well, there's some things that we know that are very good natural medicines for fungal invasions like that. Garlic kills fungus pretty much on contact. The Chinese mushrooms, reishi, shiitake, maitake, particularly in extract form, have been have a lot of efficacy. Caprylic acid, which you can find in any health food store. There are a number of things, and finally colloidal silver, we know, is a major antifungal. So when people are looking at their bodies and saying, why am I always feeling kind of run down and tired, it may be we're being told now that this person is looking at the blood of many, many people, and in almost everyone this fungus shows up in their bloodstream. So that's something we can take care of. If it becomes something in the lungs, we can do the tea tree oil inhales. We also know that we're getting a lot of particulate heavy metals, all of which not good for the body. And I'd like to just quick run through them. Their potential damage to the body, but then also some mitigating medicines we can do. We know that there's some aluminum in this, and we also know that aluminum, unfortunately, can cross the blood-brain barrier. And we know through research it's been correlated to diseases like Alzheimer's. If not so extreme, certainly short-term memory loss. So sad to say, the blood-brain barrier does not recognize aluminum as a toxin and lets it go through into the brain. The good news is, if you have enough what are called essential fatty acids in your system, your brain has the ability to take that metal, aluminum, and push it out of the brain into your hair. And I think that's why so many people who are getting hair analysis are seeing high concentrates of aluminum in their hair. It's the brain doing its job trying to get this toxin out. Some good essential fatty acids that you can consider are flaxseed oil, evening primrose oil, and most recently brought to me very profound is krill, K-R-I-L-L oil. It's a fish oil that's fairly pure. These essential fatty acids allow the brain to get rid of that aluminum. We also know that barium is part of the mix, and barium, besides being a carcinogenic, knocks pretty much all the potassium out of your body. And I'm seeing in my clients a lot of muscle weakness, a lot of heart palpitations, all related to either a complete loss of potassium or way too low level of potassium. So we know, since we're bringing barium in and it's knocking the potassium out, we need to supplement more potassium in. And I would say, for anybody who's listening to me, the responsible thing would be to say, to share whatever you decide to do with your health care practitioner, because if you're on certain medications, it can contraindicate. But these are just general guidelines and information for people, not prescription, not diagnostic. Yeah. There is also apparently some titanium in this mix from your research, again, another heavy metal, and magnesium. And for a long time, I could not understand why that would be a bad thing, because we're always encouraging people, to take some magnesium in. However, my brother, who's a physicist, accidentally gave me an answer that I had been seeking 2 or 3 years, why I was seeing so many blood clots and thick, sticky blood platelets. And it's epidemic now, and constantly running commercials for blood thinners and on and on. Well, he tells me when you combine an aluminum ion with a magnesium ion, it clots the blood. So we have both of those in this mix. My personal choice is ginger root for blood thinning. I take ginger root capsules every day. There's also an herb called ginkgo biloba that also thins the blood. But this is a very important cautionary. If anybody is on a pharmaceutical blood thinner, do not add in any of these other remedies, because you can get your blood so thin that if you cut yourself, your blood won't clot. So it's dangerous. So if you're on any pharmaceutical blood thinner, do not add in ginger root and ginkgo biloba and those kinds of things. But if you're not on a pharmaceutical, these are good natural things you may want to consider in terms of thinning the blood. And then there's I get this question all the time. People say, well, what can we do, to mitigate some of this? I mean, it's in every breath I take. That's something I think is hard for people to understand. This is not something that previously I could say to people. Please don't eat margarine. Please don't drink tap water. These things are not good for you. I cannot ask people not to breathe. But what I can say, there are things that you can do to mitigate the amounts of it that you're taking in. One thing that you well know I do is when I'm outdoors, I wear a mask. It's not comfortable. It looks silly. I get stares. But I have to tell you, since I've been doing that, I've noticed a big improvement in what kind of symptomology I've had to deal with. Also, there is a very good all-natural substance called diatomaceous clay that has the unique property of attracting heavy metals to it, then binding with them and allowing your body to then send it out through your bowel. In most health food stores, you can find it under the name of bentonite. You have to make sure, though, this diatomaceous clay that you're taking in is food grade, because they do have diatomaceous clay at the nurseries, and that's not pure. But if you go to your health store, or if you know somebody who has food-grade diatomaceous clay, that is something I do daily to try to begin to remove these metals, because all heavy metals are detrimental to the system. Again, flaxseed oil, krill oil, the omega-369 oils, very important, particularly for brain function during these times. Potassium supplementation. And another epidemic is sinus infections, and that colloidal silver nasal spray I use, and I've had a lot of friends use it, and it's very effective with helping to clean up those sinus infections caused, I'm sure, by all these particulates.